Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this February 9th, 2026 meeting of the Great Falls Public Schools Board of Trustees. And I will remind you that these meetings are being recorded and will be uploaded on our website at some point in the future. Mr. Deakins, would you please administer the roll call?
Thank you, Chairman Johnson. Gordon Johnson.
Here.
Kim Skornagowski.
Here.
Bill Bronson.
Here.
Marley Sunchild.
Here.
Amy Thompson.
Here.
Paige Swarovski.
Here.
Craig Duff.
Excused.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise, and Trustee Sunchild will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair,
Trustee Skornagowski.
I move we adopt the agenda as presented. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda as presented. Any questions or commentary from our Board of Trustees regarding the agenda?
Mr. Bronson, do you have that for the agenda? Thanks.
Any questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have the exact number up here yet, but the item on our agenda with respect to the audit, there has been a request that we remove this from the agenda. There is still some information not available to the auditor prior to them making their final report. So I think we need to remove that from the agenda and it will be put back on at an appropriate time.
Thank you, Trustee Bronson. This is for to approve the agenda minus action item A, 2024-25 financial statement and audit report. Any questions or commentary from our gallery? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call for the question.
Motion.
We may need to formally amend the motion.
Yeah.
I
So
put my request in the form of a motion.
second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Trustee Tarosky.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any questions or commentary?
I was going to say,
Robert.
Mr. Chair, I think we need to move on the original motion to the original previous motion to adopt the agenda as amended. Is that right?
I believe so. I'm
Well,
looking at Mr. Bronson because he definitely is my
Since-
Robert's Rules of
Since a
Order.
motion had not been made, my correction was the first motion, so I don't think it's necessary to have an amended motion.
That was
Thank
my sense.
Okay.
Thank you. There's a motion. It has been seconded to approve the consent agenda. Thank you. Any questions or commentary from our Board of Trustees? Any questions or commentary from our gallery?
Mr. Chair, if I may, while Mrs. McGraw is here, in review of this during our agenda planning meeting, there is a request that once the CM Russell High School HOSA students do their medical squads abroad, that they come back and report to us about their trip.
Sounds fast.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Been moved and seconded. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Communication. Mrs. Mainwaring. Reports of student representatives.
Good evening, Chairman Johnson, Superintendent Hoyer, members of the board, members of the community. It's time for student reports, our favorite time of the month. So we'll start with Paris and then go to CMR and then Great Falls High this time.
Super. Thank you.
Good evening, Chairman Johnson, Superintendent Hoyer, trustees, and members of the community. My name is Aspen, and I'm here to present for you guys today. Best-selling award-winning author Jamie Ford visited with the students about creativity, writing, and living with trauma in the new book that he's been working on. Jamie shared a piece of work that he's just been working on, and we were the first people to ever hear about it. The science class got to learn about the scientific method through a mousetrap catapult challenge. The talented group really thought outside the box for this one to conquer this challenge. Students discovered the science in their everyday lives: smoke alarms, speakers, magnetic fingernail polish, also a little friendly competition with paper planes. The students at Paris love Foreign Fridays. They cook and sample recipes from all over the world while gaining a little bit of the perspective and the culture. Our technical applied math students took a field trip to the 120th Airlift Wing at the airport. Thank you to the crew at the Loadmaster's shop and the fire station for giving Paris Gibson students an incredible opportunity for some hands-on learning. We are so lucky to have Build Montana in our building. It gives students from all 3 high schools an opportunity to explore career opportunities in Montana and get hands-on training and industrial recognition certifications. The program also supports students to get funding and job placements. This course has recently been accepted as a dual enrollment class, which means students taking the class will earn 2 college credits. Paris Gibson Education Center hosted an archery tournament that the whole state of Montana was invited to. 73 students from 5 different schools participated in a tournament with 3-dimensional targets. They had the chance to shoot at a velociraptor, a standing bear, and a mountain goat. Ian Chandler took first place with the highest score. Curtis Burke took second place. Ian and Curtis are both students at CMR and are on the Paris archery team. Grant Golock from the North Middle School archery team took third place. We're super impressed that 3 kids from Great Falls scored the highest in the tournament. The Paris team won first place in the 3 archery tournament. This is a super cool collaboration class with art teacher Miss Walters and English teacher Miss McGonagall. Students study of the novel The Princess Bride by William Goldman alongside the classic film. Students can earn units for both art and English. This is one of our most highly attended classes. We love when learning gets messy. Our chemistry students were able to get their hands dirty and make some amazing creations in their exothermic resin pouring lessons. Aren't they beautiful? Thank you and have a great night.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chairman Johnson, Superintendent Hoyer, members of the board, and members of the community. My name is Emerson Hamma, and I'll start our presentation. CMR HOSA students are going to Ghana this summer to work alongside doctors in rural clinics. They will provide sample-sized hygiene items, reading glasses, and medication to people as well. Check out the CMR Facebook to find a fundraising link for their trip and details about how to donate hygiene items. First lesson we loved, in Madame Davis's French 3-4 class, students have been learning about the Carnaval de Quebec, which began on the 6th and will continue until the 12th of February. This iconic carnival attracts people from all over the world and was very exciting to learn about. Our CMR students are working hard on their high school house. They recently learned to install sheetrock. We are so proud of their hard work, and we are so excited to see the incredible home they provide for a community member at the end of this year. Our students have the opportunity to tour Calumet and learn about exciting careers in STEM, industrial technology, and refining right here in our community. We appreciate when our local industries are willing to share their job opportunities with students. Our winter teams have found success these last few weeks. We're hopeful our boys and girls basketball teams will both be in good position for playoffs. Our swimmers are having their state swim meet this weekend, and our wrestlers recently won Crosstown for the first time in 18 years. Our dance team also had a showcase celebration this month. Another lesson we loved was Mrs. Ingman's classes are detailing their lives as readers by looking back on the books that shaped them. Some are diving back into reading time favorites from elementary school, and others are reminiscing about required reads like The Catcher in the Rye or Of Mice and Men. Students are eager to finish and present these projects. Every member of our BPA team qualified for the state competition in March. We had 2 teams take first place in their events and 8 individuals take home gold medals with their solo events. Congratulations to all our future business professionals. The CMR speech and debate team has been busy as the season comes to an end. With multiple tournament champions and 2 state double finalists, it's been a great year. Their final national qualifying competition is coming up this weekend.
Good evening, Chairman Johnson, Superintendent Hoyer, members of the board, and members of the community. I am Lydia Comstock, and I will finish this presentation today. Another lesson that we loved was in culinary. Our culinary students had the opportunity to learn from Mariah Gladstone with Indie Kitchen. She joined our culinary classes and made green chili potato hominy bison stew and sunflower seed butter caramel popcorn. This was a great way to learn about cooking and culture at the same time. We also had our 8th grade parent night. We host this night to share scheduling information and offer a club fair. Our goal is to get students excited about high school course offerings and engaged in clubs or extracurriculars early. As far as performing arts go, our chamber orchestra just wrapped up their annual AA festival with a wonderful performance and are now preparing for their national performance at the end of the month. They will have a showcase concert on February 17th for the community to hear their program before they take off for San Francisco. In addition to that, the AA Band Festival is coming up in March, as is the All Northwest Choir Festival. To stay up to date with fundraising for these choir students, make sure to check in with the Spark the Arts Facebook page. One of our AP Art students, Nolan, won honorable mention for his analog photography in the Scholastic Art and Writing National Competition. Our students also have an art show February 19th at 4 p.m. in the Dark Horse. The work is always fantastic, and we recommend you take a moment after work to stop by. Another lesson that we loved was in Mr. Davis's forensics class. Students have been working on their blood splatter lab and analysis. They measure the distance and type of splatter with 1 or multiple drops of blood, and it will help them investigate a fake crime scene later this semester. A panel of community journalists joined CMR students for National News Literacy Week. They used their expert experience within the realm of radio, TV, or print media to answer important questions about media literacy. We are so thankful for these community members and for our staff at CMR who made this possible. Students love the experience and were excited to ask questions of their own. The CMR Peer Mentor Group recently added a new installation in the Commons made up of thankful butterflies that our students wrote on. This reminds the students daily to be grateful for all the support that they receive at CMR and the other things that bring them joy in their lives. The next lesson that we loved was in Mr. Anderson's class. Mr. Anderson's juniors have been embracing the transcendental era and Thoreau by creating a watercolor nature scene and writing a poem about the painting, and meanwhile his freshmen are putting up the hero status of Odysseus by having trials. Their jury spent time in deliberation considering all of the evidence and then finally shared their verdict. And as far as Wrestler Pride goes, we love having young wrestlers in our building and spending time with our students and learning what it means to be a wrestler, which is hard work, integrity, and involvement. Last Saturday, we welcomed 50 elementary students to deliver the halftime show with our Wranglers dance team. Future wrestlers are Wrestler Pride. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you.
I believe we have a question for you from Trustee Skonogowski.
Well, before you leave, we saw your picture up there a lot, Lydia. Can you share what you competed in, for example, in speech and debate, and we saw some medals there. So maybe share some specifics.
Yes, I compete in extemporaneous speaking and impromptu speaking for speech and debate, which are both on the fly short prep events. I think between now and our last meeting, we had a Helena competition where I took home gold along with a few of my teammates. And then we had a competition in Butte where I was a finalist, and state where I was a double finalist along with Brendan Wilmarth. And we also forgot to mention on our speech and debate slide, but this past season, we had two of our team members, including myself, reach All-American status for speech and debate, which is something that we haven't seen in, I think, 12 years. So I'll keep you updated as those acknowledgements are officially recognized, but that's also exciting.
Congratulations. Very exciting. Thank you. Bravo, bravo, bravo.
We see your speech skills here every month.
Good evening, Chairman Johnson, Superintendent Hoyer, trustees and members of the board and community. My name is Weston. I'm a sophomore at Great Falls High, and I'll be starting our presentation. Choir at UM. Choir students at Great Falls High and CMR had the opportunity to perform alongside the University of Montana Chamber Chorale in January under the direction of Dr. Hiller. It was a great opportunity for those talented students to learn and show off their great skills. Teacher highlights. This month we'd like to recognize Ms. Rosales, Mr. DeFay, Mr. Fillinger, Mr. Smart, Mr. Sullivan, Miss I'm gonna butcher this, Miss Imperson, and Miss Taylor. Thank you for the teachers and staff for doing their best each and every day. Keep up the good work. A lesson we loved. Miss Pemberton found a fun way to show different kinds of rock formations with her students in Earth and Space Science with Oreos. A fun way to get out of the textbooks, and they got a good snack out of it as well. Our drama department, Great Falls High production of Grease is coming up, and you don't want to miss it. Grab your friends and family and take a seat. Come a little early, and they're putting on a silent auction full of lots of goodies. A lesson we loved. Students in Miss Mora's U.S. history wrapped up World War I by creating their own propaganda posters. It was a fun way to give students a different way to show off what they know and their creativity through history. Speech and debate. Our Bison speech and debate team performed well at their state tournament, with Elle Patterson finishing 11th in humor's impression and Kalia Warden finishing 9th in memorized public address. Calissa Award also became the state champion in informative speech and blood typing. Congratulations.
Good evening, Chairman Johnson, Superintendent Hoyer, trustees, and members of the community. My name is Seth Royer. I'm a senior at Great Falls High, and I get to finish off the presentation. This first slide, Mr. Pate, the electricity teacher at school, he has a class called Introduction to Industrial Technology. It sounds pretty similar to a class we've had in the past. They almost had the exact same name, but in the past that one had 4 quarters, and each quarter you go to a different room, like you go electricity, welding, woods, automotive. But this one is solely in Mr. Pate's room, and they go over drywalling, insulation, electrical, and recently Falls Mechanical donated a full HVAC system with ducting for 6 rooms. They got a whole heater, head unit. They came in, donated it all. Very, very nice of them. So now students are going to be able to work with ducts and heating systems and that sort of thing. He's really passionate about this class, and it's a great way for students to get exposed to a lot of the different trades that go into building a house at once. And I think it deserves more recognition. It looks really cool. I wish I could go back in time and take that class because it looks really neat. Next up is our winter sports. They're rolling full steam ahead. Wrestling and swimming both have had their crosstown and senior nights. Those both went really well. I wasn't able to make it to the wrestling one, but I've heard it's really, really cool because they have a spotlight and everything like that. The swimming cross town was really fun because we practiced together and we were all able to kind of just compete against each other for once. It was really, really nice. Boys basketball, they won against Belgrade 50-34 and 46-43 over Bozeman. And then girls basketball, they've had wins against Belgrade, Billings West, Skyview, Glacier, and Flathead. So we're all doing pretty great. Next up is BPA Regionals. Our Bison competed very, very well here and were great representatives of Great Falls High and the Region 3 BPA competition. They did so well that we have 28 Bison moving on to the state competition March 8 to 10. Next up is Governor Greg Gianforte. The Great Falls High School Career Exploration classes, which is also something new that we're rolling out this semester. They had a visit from Governor Gianforte. He shared his own experiences and advice for a wide range of Great Falls High School students. Thank you to Governor Gianforte for taking time out of his busy schedule to come and teach our students, make a positive impact on them and hopefully their future. Next is our student recognition. On January 27th, a lot of students were able to kick off the day with a special breakfast to celebrate them for being just good students all around that were on their first semester. These students were nominated by their teachers for going above and beyond and for living out our core values every day. To do what's right, do the best you can, treat others the way you want to be treated. These are really great core values, and these people are going to make wonderful human beings, I'm sure. We're proud of each of them, and we're grateful for the positive example that they set in our classes every day. Next up, 3 Great Falls girls, 1 big opportunity. The freshmen Danica, Charlie, and Lily have been selected to represent Montana's 2nd Congressional District in the 2026 #House of Code Congressional App Challenge. In April, they'll travel to Washington, D.C. to present their app, Cursive Create, alongside top student coders from across the country. It's an incredible opportunity for our students to represent our school and community on a national stage. That also sounds really cool. And lastly is our socials. Remember, follow the herd. We got a bunch of cool stuff on there. That's where you'll hear a lot of the stuff in here earlier if you follow us on there. And that's all we have for tonight.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. A lot going on. We're a little bit envious. We've got all these wonderful activities going on, and we're very proud of your accomplishments. So thank you for being here with us this evening. Communication, item B, Superintendent Report, Mrs. Hoyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. And before I go on, we do have one of our students who the next time she joins us, there's probably a good chance she's going to be an alumni. And so I want to wish Miss Aspen the very best as she wraps up, I believe it's her final class. Just English. So she will be continuing to join us every month, but we're really proud of you, Aspen. Congratulations on your upcoming graduation and bell ringing. So I'm hoping to be able to celebrate you soon. As we were getting ready in the last seconds before we started the board meeting, the elections office downtown did let us know that as of 5 o'clock today, when they closed, we do have 3 individuals running for 3 3-year positions here for the school board. So thank you for those of you who have applied to run for the school board. Just a heads up that March 2nd is the closing date for write-ins. And so we wanted to be sure that we communicated that out, and looking forward to the next month or so as we wrap up this process. So this evening with my superintendent report, we have a couple of amazing groups that we want to celebrate. They both happened on February 3rd. The first one, 2 individuals up on the top, and we have 29, as a matter of fact, counselors. But I grabbed 2 who are fairly new to their ranks. The first one is Clint Houston. He's over at Great Falls High. I had to let him know the other day at a school event. I saw him at Crosstown Swimming. I said, I'm putting your fish picture up. And he wanted to be sure it was the picture with the big fish, not the little fish. He is a former school resource officer who, when he left the PD, wanted to continue to work with kids. And so he is working to complete his coursework. but is one of the school counselors at Great Falls High. The other one is Montana Johnson. He is our master level counselor at the core at Morningside. He was a therapeutic practitioner and he wanted to be in the school setting. He's also one of our Purple Star recipients. So this is just an example of the individuals that we have who work as school counselors who have done something different with their life, but are called to work with kids. And they're one of many, many amazing counselors who are in our schools and work day in and day out. Another group that we wanted to celebrate was our crossing guards. And so you'll see two individuals there. You probably recognize them. We have 27 crossing guards across the district. Breezy Champlin, I believe I said that right, is down at Longfellow. She's down on 9th. You probably recognize her as the one who's usually dancing and waving and smiling at everybody. So I know she gets a lot of honks and waves back, and to see her work with the kids is pretty cool as they're heading to and from school. Gary Schoenthal, also over at Lincoln, he's one of our longest standing crossing guards, and he's really known for greeting kids and families. One of the things with the crossing guards that's important to remember is they oftentimes are the first point of contact for our students and families. So they set the stage for how the day is going to go for so many of our kids. So that welcoming smile, that hug, that how was home last night? Did you get your math homework done? I've heard a couple of them ask. Are you ready for your concert this evening or this afternoon? They play a really, really important role, and it was an honor to be able to celebrate both of these groups at the start of the month. You just heard about the next group of young ladies who won the Congressional App Challenge in the 2nd Congressional District. So these are the 9th graders over at Great Falls High School. You heard details and you saw their app. I got on and played on their app the other day. It's actually really cool. They're the one that they did that they'll be presenting. But here's a little additional information. First of all, the two teachers that guide Code Girls are teachers who are doing the Innovative Summer Learning program for our code class. And so they are passionate ladies about giving students this opportunity to the point that they're going to provide a 2-day class. These ladies will be presenting at the U.S. Capitol during the National Science Fair, and it's the House of Code that will be April 21st and 22nd. There are only 2 teams from Montana who qualified, a team from Browning who has already been sponsored, so their full trip has been sponsored, and then the team from Great Falls. And so if you know these young ladies and you see their fundraisers, shake their hand, tell them thank you. They're doing some pretty incredible work, and support them as they work to make it to the next level. The next one is just a picture. Let's see, Sherry, keep clicking through. What this is historic and projected enrollment for Great Falls Public Schools, and this is not the definite number on count day. Not all enrollments are created equal. What this is the number of students who that we have them literally in the building at one point in time during the day. When we're doing count, which we're still working on cleaning up that data, we then have to break down the number of kids who walk through our doors for service as to the number of kids who are there for a quarter of a day, a half a day, 3/4 of a day. And it breaks down. So that number does drop. But the interesting point about this is as you look, we're starting to move down the trend line, but we're remaining above where our demographers told us that we would be as we're moving down. So this is just for trend line purposes only, but we remain almost exactly consistent, as you can see in 2025. To those numbers, we were at 9605. With our spring count the other day, we were just down a little bit from the fall count, and that we're tracing or tracking that trend line downward, but we're not as significant as what those professionals told us in 2019 when the study was done for the board. Oh, go ahead, Sherry. No, you're just fine. Do you want me to do it? I can do that. You're multitasking tonight. But you can see our trend line go down. So we match it almost identical. That's okay. No, I thought I had messed up. But it's interesting to watch. So we're keeping a close eye on that. It allows us to make projections moving forward, although it's not the final number of which we are funded at. So the next 3 slides I wanted to share with you. I am going around and doing the third quarter visits to different groups and different schools, and seeing how they are in meeting the goals of the strategic plan and the work they're doing. And I can tell you this year that Buildings and Grounds was the very first group to turn their report in to me. Much to the chagrin of Mrs. Heinzelman over at Riverview, who is my most competitive principal. When she turned hers in, the first thing she said was first. And I went, no, Brent and Jack got theirs in before you. So going through, just looking at the strategic plan, I want to give you some high level highlights of what they're doing, and then a barrier that they've identified, and then a couple of employees who they say really just make this work happen on the background. So for healthy, safe, and secure schools, our Building and Ground reported that they are happy with the fire alarm upgrades that are helping with a variety of safety drills. They've done their lead in the water, door security, and indoor air quality, and drainage, which is mold prevention, and securing playgrounds with fencing to be sure that our kids are safe when they are stretching their legs outside. For student achievement, really getting them and their department to understand that the state of our facilities and the security during times of uncertainty really helps students and staff feel safe and supported and allow them to learn. If we don't have these individuals putting those pieces in place, the job of teaching becomes really, really hard. So we appreciate that work that they do that often goes unrecognized. And then for stewardship and accountability, they are doing things like training everybody on water conservation, and on energy conservation. They're trying to lower peak demand hours, for example, by slowly bringing buildings up to full power versus a quick turn on, which burns a lot of energy very quick. So they're learning these very finite ways to save us energy and save us money. They're continuing to do their building walkthroughs and planning, competitive bids, you name it. These guys are involved in it. The barrier that they've identified is staffing, and that it's just is a constant battle that they have to be sure that they're fully staffed. And then there are 3 gentlemen up at the top, and I believe we have a family member in the audience who might be pretty cool. But Terry Lidostansky, I hope I said that right. He's our electrical foreman. Ryan Stoll, he comes in, specializes on boilers, HVAC, lead reduction filters, and then Scott Watson. But all 3 of those gentlemen, Jack and Brent, both said, doesn't matter, day or night. If we have something happening in one of our schools, they want to be sure it's ready for kids the next morning. They can call on them 24/7, even on holidays. And they come in and be sure our schools are in working order for teachers. So that is the update for the first semester from Buildings and Grounds. A quick update from West Elementary. This is Mrs. Lewis in her first year of leadership over at West Elementary. Healthy, safe, and secure schools. They're really focusing on consistency in every class, working on a program called Caught Being Good, which is where they're able to identify kids who are doing the things that are right for the right reasons and not expecting to have any recognition for it. They're being recognized for that. Of course, Character Strong, RCD, and MTSS, multi-tiered systems of support, are allowing them to go to the next level of conversations to help redirect kids. They're focusing on fluency in oral language and coaching for mastery. The thing that's cool with this is Lacey is going in and she is covering classes for teachers to gather all of the data so the teachers can continue to do the small group work in her school. So she's taking that off of the teacher's plate, but allowing that data to happen so they can have those deep, rich conversations about students and student achievement. And then stewardship and accountability. When Lacey realized that her PTA meetings were under-attended and it was really hard for West families to attend in the evening, she started having them on Saturday mornings at a coffee shop and meeting her parents so she can get her parent voice involved at West. And so I'm just really, really proud of the work that Lacey's doing in her first year. She identified the barrier of student mental health as being the thing that really is the hardest for them to work to overcome. And the 2 staff members that she recognized are Randa Curtis and Ashley Weaver. And by the way, I have been writing handwritten notes to these individuals and thanking them with some very specific comments from their supervisors and principals. The last one then is Valley View Elementary. And this is Mrs. Danelle Dyke. She is identifying, they're really focusing in on attendance and writing personal notes to families and students. She said the number of students who are chronically absent, who have missed 10% or more, is actually down 11% this year because of that personal communication that she's having with both the students and the families. So they're very, very happy with the response to that intervention. And then she has something called Peanut Butter Pals, where that's a peer mentoring for social skills, and they're seeing some great progress with social skills with the younger kids and the older kids. I'm sure that Trustee Tarosky probably knows about the Peanut Butter Pals and sees them in action all the time. For student achievement, she listened very closely when she heard the teachers say that they don't have enough time to work with their grade level partners. They want to do training with their grade level partners. So she's bringing in, I think, a sub or two, and then she's also helping, and they're doing coverage across the building so they can have half a day to get together with their grade level peer, dig into the data, and really take a look at high quality direct instruction. They realize from their walkthroughs that there's a difference between engagement and lecture when they're doing direct instruction with the students. They're honing in on that, looking for the data to support best practices, and they're also including their paras and the PLCs for that. For stewardship and accountability, she continues to work with the executive directors and peers to build their comprehensive building level plan. She also identified the barrier of student mental health to student success. And I will continue as I work through my schools to give you just quick snapshots of what's happening and identifying best practices as well as barriers in buildings. And the last one is the data for the day. So this is our behavior for semester one. As you can see in the upper left-hand corner, we are bumping up right against where we were last year. So we're holding very consistent with that line. When we said last year was our baseline, we're right there again this year with 1,211. So just down a little bit, but statistically not down a lot from last year. When you look at the specific categories of aggravated assault, remember that aggravated assault is not the legal definition of aggravated assault, but it is just assault or one-sided essentially. Attendance, disorderly conduct, fighting, insubordination, and threat at school. We are seeing a drop in the assault. Attendance is creeping back up again, which is one of the reasons some of our elementaries are focusing in on attendance. So we're starting to see those chronic truancies pick back up again. Disorderly conduct, that's the mutual fight or the disruption to the learning environment. It's also dropping, as is regular fighting. Insubordination is better. But then if you notice on the very, very far right, it says threat at school, and we're up to 38. That's because we didn't have a consistent way. Last year when we were doing our calibration, we realized that some of the threats that were being made at school, that's either to themselves, another student, a group of students, very rarely it's the whole school, but that's grouped in there, were marked confidential because they involved a threat assessment of some type. And if that's the case, we missed that data point. We couldn't pull it. So Jackie and Lance found a different way to code it, and we're now able to get an actual count of how many times our threats, all the way from those excited utterances that you hear on the playground to things that are more significant. How much are we actually seeing those when they elicit a response of a threat assessment? So we're going to watch that number very closely and work really hard with our threat assessment team as we move forward through the data. So this is your first semester data. I will come back again at the end of the year to give you the entire picture of how our behavior looked as I move through the strategic plan analysis for the rest of the year. So with that, I stand for any questions you may have.
Any questions for Mrs. Hoyer? From either our Board of Trustees or from anyone in the room? Your report appears to be comprehensive. Thank you very much. A lot of good work.
My pleasure,
there.
sir.
Thank you. Moving on. Communication. Item C, audience communication. I have one request to speak before this Board of Trustees this evening. Mrs. Mortensen, would you please come to the rostrum? Welcome.
For indulging me for a little bit. I would go through the thank you, Mrs. Hoyer, the board and the people and all everybody's here, but I don't have it down as well as those students do. So I will just say thank you. I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update on SJ 48, which is the marijuana bill that we're trying to get introduced into the 2027 legislature. There was a hearing on January 13th, which was was quite an information gathering for me, and also a real eye opener on what a real uphill battle we're going to have trying to get a handle on this problem. The money being poured into the state by the marijuana industry and the legislators who really have shown little or no information on it, or little or more no interest in it, is going to be a big battle. I just appreciate your letting me come here and updating you on the fact that it's a battle we're all, as a community, and particularly with your help and your contacts, are going to be involved in, hopefully to the point where we can at least get the committee to study the problem. I don't think there's any question on the harms of marijuana or the rippling results we see within our community. One of the things that surprised me was a doctor from Billings who had some statistical information about the harms that he personally has seen, anecdotal information. He said that about 22% of the patients he sees are under 10 years old. So it is a community, statewide, and of course national problem. If you have any questions for me, or if there's any information you would like, I'd be happy to present it. But I want the school board particularly to be aware that it is a battle ahead of us for the 2027 legislature. Questions?
Any questions for Mrs. Mortensen? If not, thank you so
Thank you.
much for your vigilance and sharing the information with us.
I appreciate your time and attention. Thank you.
Certainly, thank you. And at this point in time, student representatives, you're so busy and active. You need to go and do what it is you do best and represent us well. Thank you so much for coming. And again, we appreciate your achievements, and we're very proud of you. So thank you. We're moving on to Roman 7 action items. Action item A has been postponed. We're moving on to B, which is second reading of revised board policies 1111, 2131, 3410, 7122, and 7122F. Mrs. Hoyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board, and members of the public who are left with us. There is one change that I'll go over at the end at 7122, but as far as policies 1111, 2131, 3410, none of those have received any input to report to you for second readings. If you look closely, though, on policy 7122, and in your book, I slid an update that was provided to me by a member of our committee, Trustee Bronson. So I'm going to try to capture all of this, and I'm going to have him correct me as we go. So I just printed off the information. Mm-hmm. It doesn't deal necessarily with the content of the policy, but it deals with the legal references and how we're making legal references as we move through the codification of the policy itself. So if you look on page 40, line 57 actually has amends line 49 within the law. And so the wording to notify the user or reader of this policy that there is a temporary legal change should be reflected as such. That 20-9-116 MCA from 2025 is a temporary provision through June 30th of 2025, and the version effective July 1st, 2027. The resolution of intent to increase a non-voted levy and notice. And then we should go ahead and strike both lines, 56 and 57, on page 40. And that just cleans up the House Bill 22. The main concern is that every legislative session has a House Bill 22. And if for some reason you lose that parentheses of 2025, it is really easy to link the wrong House bill to the current policy. And so I want to thank Trustee Bronson for bringing forward how we properly cite that. And I'm going to let him clean up the language that I used if I used it improperly at any time. But with that, that was the only suggested change.
Mr. Chairman, for the record too, there was a typo in the one amendment I submitted to Mrs. Hoyer. It should read June 30th, 2027 and not 2025. So
Thank you.
So with that, Mr. Chair, I submit for the board's approval policies on second reading and policy specifically 7122 as amended within the legal references.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Bronson.
I move that we approve revised policies 111 on election, 2131, 3410, 7122 with the amended reference, and 7122F.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve revised board policies 1111, 2131, 3410, 7122, and 7122F. Any questions or commentary from our Board of Trustees? Any questions or commentary from our gallery? Hearing, seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of adopting the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Action other, nothing was taken from the consent agenda. We'll move on to reports, discussion, and policies. Roman 9, Figure A, first reading of revised board policies 2110, 3110, 1770, 3510. Mrs. Hoyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. What you have in front of you are four policies for your first review. They have been modified to meet both statutory guidelines as well as wording as provided to us or suggested by NTSBA. The first one is 1210. That's qualifications, terms, duties of board officers. If you notice on lines 23 on page 44 down through 29, that is a replacement. I do believe when you take a look at this that it is better in line, the proposed wording is better in line with Robert's Rules of Order. Best practices for a board chair to be able to actually make a motion as long as they temporarily during the meeting step down as board chair, make that motion and then step back in again. There was one typographical error on line 29. The word in should be on.
Okay.
If you look at policy 1310, once again, it is statutory in nature. Lines 15 through 20 have been redacted and replaced with 22 through 25. It does help us address a short turnaround time that we have when we're looking at federal law and required changes by administrative rule. Policy 1770 is the uniform complaint procedure. You'll probably see things move around most in this policy when we're looking at the ones we're approving. First of all, line 14 on page 48, you'll notice we're replacing the word grievance to uniform complaint. That's consistent with all of our policies. It's also consistent with our handbooks. It's consistent with CBA and with student handbooks. Just makes the language a lot easier to understand when you're looking at the actual policy itself. Lines 18 through 22 have been struck but not removed completely, as they are moved down into lines 39 through 46. So there's just a realignment and a suggestion by MTSBA to make this policy flow better. Then if you move over and you take a look at, I'm going to jump ahead to page 50 itself, line 5. They removed the administrator's decision and placed it on the level 3 decision. It just allows in tracking of the complaints to be sure that we're following the correct complaints for our uniform complaint procedures. And then finally, if you go down to level 5, which is with the board, lines 32 through 35 on page 50, that is an updated, it's a note that this has been updated for you to review because it very specifically outlines your role in the process of uniform grievance procedure. And then you'll notice finally at the very end of that on page 52 that there has been some codification, quite a few of them. You'll notice new MCAs, new ARMs, and then we have updated and removed the chapter 305 as well. Finally, 3510, which is school-sponsored student activities. This reflects some statutory requirements. On page 54, lines 23 through 28 is a statutory reflection prohibiting or restricting where the district may prohibit or restrict participation in extracurricular activities for homeschool students if they are not citizens of the United States and the state of Montana. And then line 55 is the clarification of Montana Code 20-7-1306. This is in lines 9 through 17, where it is the designated of district-sponsored athletic teams or sports as based on biological sex. And so those come directly out of law as per the last legislative session. You will see updates to the legal references made as well for those. And with that, those are the next policies up for you to review that we'll be going over at our next board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Reports, discussion, and policies. Roman 9. B. Discussion, community reports, and comments. We're going to start with Trustee Sunshine. That's so true. I mean, when I first came into all of this, I thought each of the elementaries are sort of like cookie cutter. They were all the same. I learned quickly that wasn't the case at all. But yes, it's good for our community to realize the unique characteristics of each of our schools. Thank you. Trustee Skodogowski.
Just a thank you to our school counselors and our crossing guards. I think you inspired me to look into being a crossing guard when I retire.
There you go.
Thank you very much for that. Just to let my fellow trustees know and our community know, the school calendar is released to the public. The 3 choices for not next year, but the following year are out there. I would strongly encourage everyone to write a comment on the Facebook post or share the Facebook post to your personal page to encourage. It's just kicking that post into the Facebook algorithm to get it out more into the community so we truly can have the community voice represented in that vote.
Thank you. Trustee Turowski.
I just want to thank our IT department for diligently working on the YouTube issue that was brought forth by parents at our last board meeting. I really appreciate it, especially as a parent who has pretty much banned YouTube from my kids being able to watch it, which they don't like, but that was, I like it. And then I want to quickly talk about Lexia that the kids are doing on their laptops at school or on their Chromebooks. And I think it's a really good program. The kids seem like they're really liking it. It's a very fun, interactive way to work on like phonics and word sounds, and they seem to like it. Except one little kinder I work with says that it tricks him all the time. So he's maybe not a fan, but everyone else seems to be. And then just really quick on a personal note, I will be gone at the next board meeting in that whole week, and this is my last meeting as trustee Tarosky as I am getting married, and will be changing my name. So
Congratulations.
thank you.
Trustee Bronson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a few things. Number one, as you recall at our last meeting, I mentioned I would be attending later that week the meeting of the Montana School Boards Association. We did hold our meeting. Number of very important things did come out of the conversation, but one that I wanted to emphasize for all of you this evening is that we will need to pay very close attention to what is developing in Helena with respect to the revenue situation for the state in the coming biennium. The Legislative Fiscal Division right now is projecting a fairly substantial deficit in our general fund, barring any changes made by the 2027 session. A deficit situation could put our public school funding system at some risk in the coming 2 years, and so we are paying very close attention to where that goes and what might be necessary to make sure that we don't lose any of the gains that we've made in the last few years. But more on that will be coming forward, so please stay tuned. Second, also with respect to MTSBA, you probably received an email from Deb Silk in recent days on a annual membership survey. Yes. The results of that survey will be important to those of us on the state board in crafting an updated strategic plan for the organization later this spring. I communicated with Mr. Johnson about this, and what I would like you to do is don't respond to it individually. We'll have a group discussion about this most likely at our next board meeting, where I can get some general input from all of the trustees on some of those areas that you all have experience with, so that we can provide a collective response. And I assure you MTSBA will greatly appreciate that. Yeah. One of the problems, quite frankly, is that not all of the member schools are as proactive in communicating a collective vision to MTSBA about where they want to see the organization go and what priorities they want set. And so when we as a AA participant can do that, I think it just helps the organization significantly. So again, take a look at it, but we'll have a conversation about it at our next meeting. And then just finally, on a nice note today, when I was making a deposit at one of the banks, the teller asked me, "Are you one of those people that stands in line and hands out diplomas?" And I wasn't quite sure how to respond to that. Really, I wasn't sure what the answer was going to be. And then I said, "Yes, I am." And she said, "Well, I wanted to thank you." She said, "You handed me my diploma 2 years ago when I graduated from Paris Gibson, and it just meant a lot to me. And this is the first chance I've had to say thank you very much."
Well, how nice.
So
yeah,
it was pretty good. And I went, "Whew, boy, that's great." That's all. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Well, and thank you for your representation on the Montana School Board Association. Appreciate that. Trustee Thompson.
Well, I just want to reiterate what Trustee Sunchild said about the strategic budget plan highlights. That is another fabulous addition to the superintendent's report, and I really appreciate how well you are able to disseminate the information to so many groups, and I really think that it helps to let everyone, including the people that come to the meetings, understand how transparent that we are trying to be at this level. So thank you.
Thank you. And at this point in time, we're going to pause this meeting, a temporary adjournment, as it were, and go into executive session in the boardroom. And Trustee Thompson is going to take us through the superintendent's evaluation process. And after that, we will return to this room and share with those who are here the results of our meeting and afterwards adjourn the meeting fully. So at this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, let's move to the boardroom. Thank you.